All right, we're about to dive into one of the mind's most complex and honestly, most misunderstood survival mechanisms. But this journey, it doesn't start with a diagnosis or in a doctor's office. It starts with a moment of total, gut-wrenching confusion. Okay, picture this. You wake up, not slowly, but with a jolt. The very last thing you remember is making breakfast. You can almost hear the sizzle of the eggs in the pan, feel that little flicker of annoyance at a stray piece of shell, and then nothing. That's where the tape cuts off. But you look at the clock, and it's not morning anymore. It's 4 in the afternoon, and things are just off. There's mud on your shoes, for one thing, like you've been walking through a field. And when you glance at your phone, you see 3 text messages that you apparently sent, but you have zero memory of sending them. 5 hours. Just gone. Vanished. A huge, gaping hole right in the middle of your day. And as you're trying to wrap your head around that, you see it. Sitting right there on your kitchen counter. A note. The handwriting, it's yours, but it's not. It feels foreign, like someone else used your hand to write the words. And the message itself, it's just impossible. You need to stop pretending we don't exist. We've been here longer than you have. And that one word just hangs there in the air. We. Now, while the shock is just overwhelming, here's the thing. This feeling isn't entirely new, is it? You've always had these gaps. You just had other names for them. You'd call it zoning out, or you'd tell yourself you were just really stressed or exhausted. Turns out, you were wrong. The pattern has been there your whole life. Like when you were 8 and you woke up in class to everyone laughing at some hilarious joke you'd apparently just told. Or when you were 14 and your mom gave you the silent treatment for 3 solid days for something you never understood. By 19, you were practically a pro at covering, finding receipts for places you'd never been and just nodding along when people mentioned conversations you never had. You even came up with a system, a journal, right? A way to record everything so you could at least know what happened the day before. But you never dared to look back more than a week. Because deep down, you knew. You knew some of those entries weren't written by you. That note on the counter, it's the final push. You finally make an appointment with a therapist. You tell her about the gaps, still calling it zoning out. She just listens, patiently. And then she asks a very simple question. Have you ever found things in your home that you didn't buy? And just like that, everything clicks. She gives it a name, Dissociative Identity Disorder, or DID, and she immediately tells you that it is not a Hollywood horror story. It's a creative, almost brilliant way the mind protects a child from overwhelming trauma by walling off parts of itself. So how does this actually work? Well, it starts with overwhelming childhood trauma, something unlivable. To survive, the mind literally builds walls, splitting off the part of the self that's experiencing the trauma. Over time, these separate walled-off parts can develop into their own distinct identities, what are called alters, each holding different memories, different skills, and their own personalities. And then comes the truly earth-shattering revelation. The you that you've always known, the person who goes to work, who feeds the cat, who's listening right now, is just one part of a larger system. You're the host. But you are not, and you have never been, alone in your own mind. The therapist suggests a new kind of journaling, leaving messages. You feel absolutely ridiculous writing hello into an empty notebook, so you put the pen down, you make some tea, you walk away, and when you come back, there's a reply. The reply is in this careful, almost childlike handwriting. It says, "My name is Eli. I'm 9. I come out when you're scared. I've been watching out for you since you were little. You never said thank you." It's the first real hello from a part of you that you never even knew existed.
And Eli, he's just the beginning. Slowly, you start to meet the others. There's Maya, the calm professional who always takes over during those high-stress situations at work. There's the quiet one who only communicates by drawing the same picture of a house with a single lit window. And then there's First, the original guardian who claims to be the only reason you're still alive. This discovery kicks off a whole new chapter for you. It's about separating all that sensationalized fiction from the complex reality of DID. It's about understanding that this isn't a weakness. It's a testament to the mind's incredible, almost unbelievable resilience. And this brings us to probably the most damaging myth of all. The movies love to portray people with DID as being dangerous. The reality is the exact opposite. All the research shows that people with DID are far, far more likely to be victims of violence, not perpetrators. And this isn't some impossibly rare condition either. It affects around 1.5% of the global population. Now, that might not sound like a huge number, but to put it in perspective, that's roughly the same percentage of people in the world who have naturally red hair. We're talking millions of people living with this complex internal reality, many without even knowing it. So, what are the key takeaways here? Well, first, DID is a survival response. It is not a character flaw. It's a feature of a mind that refused to give up. The goal of therapy isn't to get rid of the alters, but to help everyone communicate and cooperate. And maybe most importantly, people with DID can, and absolutely do, live full, happy, functional lives. Over time, that fear you felt starts to give way to curiosity, and then, eventually, to collaboration. You come home one day to find this elaborate cardboard castle built for your cat, and next to it is a little note from Eli that says, "She was bored, we helped." And in that moment, it becomes the start of a shared life, a team effort. And that leaves us with a really profound question. We call it a disorder, but what if it's something else? What if shattering your own identity into a million pieces to save a child's life isn't a sign of weakness at all, but is maybe the ultimate act of self-love?